Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday Slowdown at J&J Acres, and if this is your first time being with us, we are a small family homestead in east central Mississippi, and we do these live broadcasts as a part of the Homestead Network. You can check out more information and learn about all of the YouTube channels that participate in live YouTube broadcasts for your viewing pleasure over at thehomesteadnetwork.com. You can check out all the show times and the whole lineup, everything that's there. So make sure you check them out. As for us, if you'd like to ask a question at any time during the broadcast, please make sure you type in all capital letters so it gets Jennifer's attention, and she will make sure it gets my attention so we can answer your question. If your question is about the matter that we're talking about right that second, she will interrupt me and make sure that we get your question answered. If it's something that's more general, then we will pool up those questions and answer them all at the end of the broadcast. All right. So in our typical format, which I was very happy to say, I will not mention names, but somebody sent us a private message over the week and said they appreciate the way that we do our format here. So thank you for the encouragement. But as our usual format goes, we will talk a bit about what happened last week and reflect on that and give some background information.
I need you to wrench Susan and Kitty. It's not letting me do it today.
Okay. And then we will talk about pictures and videos, and then we will talk about what's coming up next. Susan Sullivan?
Yes.
And add. And who?
Kitty.
Kitty Homestead?
Kitty's Homestead, yes.
Okay.
I'll leave that.
All right. Thank you all for tolerating our technical difficulties there. Are you all set up? Does it appear to be working?
I have a wrench, so
someone suggested and Vina. Would you like me to do that as well?
And Vina? Yeah, sure. And Alderman Farms is here.
Hey, Tommy and Patty, how are you folks doing today?
Howdy, howdy.
I'm sorry, I must confess I sort of walked away during your live broadcast. I had dinner to put on the table, so I missed the last 15 minutes or so. I apologize.
Frank, the wrench, everyone with a wrench in front of their name are the moderators.
They're the folks who make sure we stay on the up and up. We would like to run a good family program here, and they also help make sure that links get put out. They also, because you can only put a link in the chat if you're a moderator, so they help put the links out. They help make sure questions are being answered and all those kind of good things. So,
thank you for our volunteers. We appreciate your time and effort.
Absolutely. Y'all, they've been working for the same amount of money for the last 23 episodes. We haven't raised their pay once.
We haven't cut it either.
But yeah, we haven't cut it either. That's a good point. All right, so let's talk a little bit about last week. I think the first thing we have to talk about in talking about last week is last live show. Y'all tore me to pieces. Y'all just had me in stitches.
It was fun.
Yeah, we were talking about not just egg jokes, but what was the other one? Nut jokes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were using every kind of egg or nut joke that was out there, and man, y'all had me in stitches. But that was a fun show, and I hope that we can keep having fun while we're chatting. So, all right, so let's see here. Last week, we had a couple videos come out. One had almost absolutely nothing to do with homesteading, but it was cool, and my kids liked it, so I shared it with you, and that was Play Minecraft at J&J Acres. That video literally got 4 thumbs down already, and that's fine. It has nothing to do with gardening, no projects or whatever else. It was video games. But that was a fun little thing. A lot of homeschoolers like us, their children play Minecraft.
Really? We got into Minecraft because Arthur at the time was 6 years old and refused to learn how to read. And it actually successfully got him to learn how to read.
because he wanted to understand what other people were typing, and so he could understand the instructions in the game. He wanted to learn to read, and then he didn't want to look like he didn't know what he was talking about, so he also wanted to improve his spelling.
Yeah, he's constantly asking me, Mommy, how do I spell this? How do I spell that? And we got him several Minecraft books to go with it, too, that helped him learn how to read.
Yep, so we used it then as a tool to encourage that learning, because he was just being kid, stubborn. Sorry, Arthur, when you watch this in 10 years. Hi, son. He was just being very stubborn and had his heels
didn't have an interest.
Dug in the ground. He did not want to learn to read. He thought he could just do life without reading, but he had to learn to read to play that video game. And so it really helped out, and then it just kept spinning off from there. And of course they enjoy playing with their friends locally. They can get on servers together and play locally with their friends, because we do live 12 miles out of town, and so just a random, hey, go to my friend's house isn't really a very convenient thing, but it can be convenient and on a spur of a moment to say, hey Mom, hey Dad, can I get on Minecraft and play with my friend? And generally speaking, the answer is usually yes, unless they've already run up their screen time, or they didn't do their chores properly, or something.
Schoolwork.
Yeah, something. There's usually sometimes there's something that kind of stumbles them up, but. Then there's the time where it's just rainy, mucky, nasty outside, and you're just cooped up.
Yeah.
And that's when Jennifer and I get on Minecraft, and we have a lot of fun with it too. Not only, I like it. We each do something different. There's something about it for her that she likes to do. There's something I like to do, and it kind of pairs together. I like doing the building stuff. I like being creative and building homes, building stables, building things like that, and making it look good.
And I can sit there and mine for diamonds all day long.
Yeah, Jennifer likes finding me the materials. What do you need next? I need more wood. What kind of wood? And she'll go find it and whatever else. So anyway, we have a lot of fun with that, and the kids have a lot of fun. It's not board games. It's not. When you think about family activities and things to do together as families, it's not at the same level per se as a puzzle or a board game where you're face-to-face interacting with something, but it is still fun to be together in a video game and work through something and have a goal together and do something.
And we do still do the video games or the board games. We've got tons of board games. Most recently we got Minecraft, and Leah got Hungry Hungry Hippos for her birthday, and the kids have been having a blast with that.
On the other side of the house.
Hey.
But anyway, so the fun thing about that was in Minecraft, the one nice thing or one thing people enjoy about it is that it can randomly create a world. So you don't know whether or not you're going to be in a desert or on an island or in the woods or a bunch of other different possibilities. And you can select certain variables where you want to control just one particular thing, like you want the land to be more flat or not, things like that. But you can also put in what they call a world generator seed, and it's a way for you to share a world with anybody else. So even if it randomly generates a world, it will give you a code, and you can give that code to somebody else and say, hey, check out this world that I got, and play it. And so you can type anything into this seed. You can type letters, numbers, characters, whatever, and their little generator in there makes a world out of it. And it was kind of fun for the first time. I mean, we played Minecraft for what, 2 years now?
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, I went into that world code and I typed in J&J Acres, just like you see it in the title of our YouTube channel, with the capital J's and the capital A, because all of that stuff matters. And when it generated, it put me inside of a village. Now, villages in Minecraft are sometimes kind of rare. You can get a world where you never see a village, and it's frustrating because villages have important things. And so to actually spawn inside of a village was kind of cool to see that was something. So that's why I shared that video, was, hey, look, you've seen on the kids video where Tracy wanted to show you her playing Minecraft. And so, coupled with that, I thought, hey, let me show you something cool you can do with J&J Acres. Play Minecraft at J&J Acres.
Tommy would like you to know he has no idea what we're talking about.
It's a video game, Tommy. You'll be okay. We've graduated from Pac-Man and Pong, but, you know, hey. I love you, brother. It's just a video game that a lot of kids and usually the adults that of those kids end up playing because it's a fairly addictive game. It's very
You'll lose your sense of time playing it.
You will lose your sense of time. Here. Let me tell you something, folks. You know, I know video games has nothing to do really with homesteading. There's a bit about it that's kind of interesting because you have to craft stuff. So you get materials and you craft stuff to make things. So like you can make a bow and you have to have sticks and you have to have string and you can make a bow, or you can have sticks and string and make a fishing rod. So I mean there's things like that that's kind of neat because it makes the kids think about how things are actually made and let them go play in the real world when the weather's nice and craft things.
And our kids have.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat in that regard. But the other nice thing about it is in a world of video games where the predominant message is grab an AK-47 and go shoot the bad guy, there's very minimal fantasy, if you will, sort of slaying. There's zombies and there's skeletons and things like that you don't even have to have in there.
No.
You can put the game entirely in what they call a creative mode and just build things from scratch for fun. And they have places like that, servers that kids can log into that are strictly for that. And the kid can just go and be creative and build something. And there's mini games that are built around it and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great game that has nothing to do with the violence of it. You can just be creative.
Susan Sullivan says, y'all must be my son's age. He's 39. Susan, I turned 36 on Wednesday. So that's... There you go. And I'm a year older than he is.
Yep. That's my old lady. I'm not... I'll be on the couch tonight, folks. How'd you like that? All right, so that's enough talk about video games. I just wanted you to know why we shared that with you when it has nothing to do with our channel other than the name that was plugged into the program. So the other thing that came out was the building part of the strawberry raised bed gardens is done. You saw the video where we completed the lids. Now that idea, the idea to put lids on this was originally brought out from the strawberry beds that we got to see down at Deep South Homestead when we visited Danny and Wanda, and I had seen these in a video of theirs in passing, that their strawberry beds had a lid on it. Now I didn't notice, or it didn't register in their video, that theirs are actually like a hinged lid. Now their beds, just where they are on their property, are just like one beam high. So their lid just opens up and lays on the hill that the strawberry bed's built into. What we decided to do, because our raised beds are several beams high, is make lids that could actually just come off rather than have to figure out things. So we made different sections of lids using 2x2 lumber and hardware cloth. I abhor chicken wire. You will not see me use hexagonal chicken wire ever again. We used it for the first 2 or 3 years on the property, and after I had even chickens break out of chicken wire, I said, forget it, I'm done. I'm not going to do that anymore. So we invest in hardware cloth. I understand the expense of that, I really do. But any place I've had to put down hardware cloth, I've never had to replace it. Every place I've put down chicken wire has done nothing but frustrate me to no end. So,
Frank would like to know what we do about termites and raised bed frames. We haven't really run into that problem.
We haven't had a problem with that yet. I don't know how to answer that, Frank. This is the first raised bed that we've really had since the first year we were on the property. The first year we were on the property, we did one little 4x4 raised bed area. It was long before YouTube. and it didn't stick around long enough to get rotted out or anything like that either. So the raised beds that we're using, we are using treated wood. But hold on just a second, because they don't treat wood today like they did even 10 years ago. So this is a much more subdued treatment. It is rated for being fine for fruit and vegetable gardens. And I did all the research I could about it, and I don't have a concern using this wood. But they treat it with a copper, and the copper is supposed to keep the bugs out of the wood. And it's supposed to be able to be in dirt ground contact for, I think it's like 15 or 20 years. So in 15 or 20 years, what will we do about termites in the wood? I'm not sure.
Probably replace it.
Probably just replace it. I mean, this whole bed is huge, and it cost a lot of money. It didn't cost near as much as it would if we had done it with cedar or anything like that to avoid getting pressure treated wood. But it was still, a $200 bed. That's not cheap. That's just the wood and the rebar putting it together. But if $200 can get me 15 or 20 years out of growing out of that, that's worth it to me.
And everything else we're doing has cement between the wood and the ground, so.
Yeah. So, all right. I see Tommy or Patty 1 said it's a beautiful bed. Thank you. We put a lot of effort and thought into that bed. And now, I tell you what I'm really eager about. If y'all remember that little triangle corner that's in that bed, it was about Valentine's Day last year when you got me those miniature roses that didn't overwinter well. So we should be able to plant that in the next couple weeks. Find some miniature roses. Yeah, and plant that corner. So there were some questions about why the lids. For us, the number one problem is cats. We do have a couple yard cats that we specifically let out of the house to go.
And they love the feel of that soil on their paws.
Yeah, we let them outside to do the mice hunt thing, and like Jennifer says, they just love digging in that soft soil. And so the first thing was to keep the cats off the soil, not because they want to tear up the plants, but because they want to dig around in the dirt and use it like a litter box.
Bass family, the only natural way to treat termites is to make it so that they don't want to come in the first place.
Probably so.
That we know of.
No, I don't know any other way. But so hopefully we'll get that done. The lids, since the primary thing I was worried about also were cats getting on top of it, that's another reason to go with hardware cloth over a chicken wire. Get a little extra weight protection there. And it's also for birds would be my next concern. Now we do have squirrels, coons, and possums in our area, on our property, but I've never seen them up here next to the house. Now, whether or not a bed full of strawberries would change that situation, I don't know.
We do have a coon trap, so
yeah,
we can take care of that problem if it happens.
So one thing I realized I didn't really say in the video, you got to look for it. So the lids are 2x2s, so the lumber itself is actually 1.5 inches tall, or 1 3/4 inches tall. I think it's 1 3/4 when you get down to 2x2. So it's the top where the hardware cloth is already lifted off the bed framing by 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. Okay, and then the soil surface where the strawberries are actually planted into is about 4 inches below the top. So we're giving about 6 inches ish for the plant to be able to bush up and send out strawberries.
And very few of them are actually hitting the metal.
Yeah,
so.
We got a couple where the leaves are wanting to touch it, but we think we did right. And over time, we expect that soil to settle just a little bit more. And if we ever, from season to season, because one thing I like that I talked to Danny about, one thing I really took away talking to him about his strawberry beds, is that he will, like, for example, we're starting off year one. Let's just say this is year one, even though I know those plants are at least a year old that we already put in there.
1 to 2. There's some in there that are 2.
Pretty good thick crowns on them. What he does is he lets the plant grow for 3 years, and once it's 3 years old, which he just knows by the size of the plant and
The look of it.
experience, he knows that 3-year-old plant, it's time for it to bring out. It's time to bring it out because it just won't grow very many strawberries anymore. But by that time, that plant has made babies that have made babies, and so he's got a whole bed still full of strawberries. So I mention that because we want to follow that same method on propagating out the strawberries in the bed we've made for them. And if we ever find out that the strawberries are growing taller than what we've provided them, that every season we will have that opportunity to take out just an inch of soil if we needed to or something like that. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the plan on moving forward with those. So those were the 2 videos that you saw.
And Dolphin Man, we will definitely keep you updated on the strawberries.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, right now, I would be surprised if there is a single plant that does not have a flower on it.
Yeah, me too.
And if there is, I would say 95% of them have got to have at least 3 or more flowers on it. And there's at least 2 that I specifically pointed out to Jennifer today where the petals have fallen off and it's starting to form a strawberry. So I mean that's where they're going, and we're being cautious with it. Like tonight, if y'all noticed over at jnjacres.net, I put up a blog post about our weather station because the National Weather Service had forecasted that it was going to get 34 degrees, but in anticipation, we covered everything, and when I woke up in the morning, it was 27 degrees. Now, that's a reading from 12 miles away. I know you don't need a fancy weather station to do temperature, but here's my point in that whole blog post. If something as simple as the temperature can be 7 points different 12 miles away, then what about rainfall? What about wind? And everything else that we think about on our homesteads? So same thing. Tonight is forecasted to be 34 degrees, but we have the strawberries covered, and we'll uncover them at about 8 o'clock in the morning, just as the sun really starts to, the sun rises at about 6 o'clock right now. But by 8, it's still behind the pine trees and starting to get filtered light through.
Do you remember whether or not those are ever-bearing strawberries?
No, I don't think they are.
Okay.
I don't want to get too far into that. If you wait till next week, you'll see the strawberries being planted, and you'll learn what varieties we planted, and you can go learn about whether or not those varieties are ever bearing and if they'll grow in your area and what my thoughts are about that.
And where we got them.
Yeah, so make sure you check out next week's video on that. So we're kind of already skipping forward into what next week's videos are.
All right, what other videos have we done?
Well, that's it, unless you happen to be on Patreon. I talked more about, I actually gave a live, if you will, update on how the strawberry bed is growing right now, because remember, we put that lid on those strawberries back in mid-December. That's a month-old video that just came out last week because I wanted to do one section at a time, one video per week. That was just a strategy on my part to make sure that everybody got a chance to see them. If you put out all 5 parts in one day, nobody's going to watch all 5 of them. So I staggered it out, and also figured even here, here we are, it's almost hitting February. Almost all of our viewers are still in snow or very, very cold, and you've got a month or 2 before you're thinking about even building a raised bed. So I knew if I staggered it out, you still wouldn't be worried about the timeline. It wasn't like let me put out a video because here in the South I'm doing it today and you're going to be doing it next week, a state north. So I knew I could stagger this out.
Yeah.
So that's that. Oh, and as far as covering them, all we're doing is taking 6 mil plastic sheeting and laying it on top of the hardware cloth. So you've got the bed with the strawberries in it, and then a gap of space, and then the lid with the hardware cloth on top of it, and then we're laying down plastic sheeting across the top of that with a chunk of cinder block, broken cinder block on either end to hold down the plastic. And if we're expecting high wind, we take some spare 2x2s and lay them down across the top to hold the plastic down across the midsection as well. And that has worked fine. So we kind of create that buffer of air. It's almost, if you will, like a low tunnel that we're creating for them in there. Mm-hmm. And it's done great. Those strawberries are just, they're growing like it's April. So, all right. Any other questions about either the Minecraft video or the raised beds right now, Mama?
Not on here. I thought I had something to say, and oh, yeah. So with that update on Patreon, did you want to do your one commercial for the night?
Well, I think that's it. If you have any interest in supporting us beyond what you already do, and the best support we could ever possibly have is you not only subscribing to our channel, but sharing the videos. Y'all look, the kids knocked an eagle statue off of the mantle on accident.
I can't have anything nice.
And I'm trying to figure out what to do with this thing, because it's over here and it's bugging me, so forgive me. The best thing you can do for us, the best support we could ever ask for, is to share the videos. That's it. That's the best thing we could ask for. That's essentially word of mouth advertising, where you're telling your friends, hey, I like these videos, maybe you will too, go check it out. It's just the same as saying, hey, I went to that new restaurant, it was really good, you should check it out too. That's the kind of word of mouth advertising that cannot be bought or beat. However, things like websites and those sort of things cost money, and if you have any interest whatsoever, you can head over to patreon.com and support us there. And there's a whole list of things that we will do for you in addition, because you make that monetary donation, a part of which includes Patreon-only videos that come out about once per week, where you get a little bit of side information. So anyway, there you go. All right, so with that out of the way, what am I doing?
Keep talking. You're not doing anything.
Well, I am about to do something, and I need my mouse to do it. You took my mouse away. What do you need me to do? Something wrong?
Yeah, the chat's kind of getting out of control.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right. So, let's get over into our picture show. Our picture show today takes us back to something that we have been involved with. Well, I say involved with, something that we have done for the last 3 years. 3 years ago, we were a part of our community garden. We were there from day one. We helped plan how it would be laid out. We helped find the donators for the material. We helped put in the raised beds. Well, actually, technically, Jennifer and I were in charge of putting up the fence. I don't know if I was the only one there that knew the Pythagorean theorem or had the confidence to use it, but we put up the fence. So that's the end of it. And got to use a really cool auger. Never seen one like that before. Anyway, so we fell out of practice. That's the easiest way to say it. They brought, about year 2, they brought me in, and I helped do a permaculture planting for a food forest. Really, it's like a little fruit orchard, and they wanted swales in it and all that kind of stuff. So I helped them with that, and then we just got too busy. They usually go out there Saturday mornings, and quite frankly, on a Saturday morning, especially in the summer, that's the cool time. You know, that's the time here in Mississippi where I want to get the work done on my property. And so we really fell out of practice doing that. But here lately, we talked a lot last week about how we started using juicing as a way to supplement our nutritional intake. And as a part of that, we're going through vegetables like they're water because we're turning them into water. And so, I mean, when you can go through a $2 pack of organic carrots in a single lunch or a single juice, it really gets expensive really quick. And so I said, Jennifer, you know, what we really need to do is get involved in the community garden again, because the benefit, the way our community garden is run, is the effort that you put into helping. They allow you to take whatever you want. You just get to harvest whatever you want. There's no cost in harvesting. You come do the work, you get to harvest the whatever is growing. So like this time around, there were mustard greens and collard greens and cilantro. We took some onion tops and things like that. So we went and did that work. So let me share these pictures with you. Here we go. Now, a couple of these pictures are not formatted for widescreen, so they're going to look a little out of proportion, such as this video or this picture. This is actually at the greenhouse. This is a greenhouse that we are given permission to use at Mississippi State University here in Meridian, Mississippi. So there's me with a couple other of the volunteers. The guy behind me, his name is Craig. He actually is the kind of the main coordinator for the whole group. And a couple other volunteers. And this was us in the greenhouse doing seeds. And so somewhere in here, I'm responsible for 4 different kinds of tomatoes, 3 and 1 flat, and then an entire tray of Cherokee purples, and 4 different pepper varieties that I could not possibly tell you the names of. So that's what I helped plant that day, and of course all these fine folks helped fill up the rest of these trays. So that was one thing that we did last week. And then on Saturday, yesterday,
That's Arthur and Tracy on the right.
Yep, there's Arthur, there's Tracy, and another volunteer, not a member of our family.
They were weeding that area.
Okay. And you can see Jennifer back here. She's in the middle of digging a hole, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And you can see Brandon. That's Brandon. That's me. We're over here working on something else. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So then here's a picture of some of the harvesting. So this is Kaylin. She was showing me she had been picking some collard greens. And I was trying to convince her to stop picking them because she was picking more than we were going to eat in a week.
They brought home a lot.
Yeah, between her and 4 other kids, they were picking a lot. You can also see here Shannon was with us that day, and tell everybody about how excited Shannon was and why.
Oh, Shannon has been a service dog for almost all of her life, and she was recently retired about a year ago. So she kind of pouts every time I leave the house without her. But when we told her to get in the van yesterday for the garden, she was all excited. In fact, she was so excited that at one point I had to go into a nearby restaurant to use the bathrooms, and I told her to stay at the edge of the garden, and she did the longest stay that I have ever seen her do. She hadn't moved a muscle by the time I got back.
So it was really good having her there. She's a good dog, and makes everybody's day to have a dog there in the garden too. Alright, so here's Tracy using a pair of plain Jane scissors. She was harvesting some cilantro. We've been using a lot of cilantro lately. So been enjoying that in different Mexican dishes. Like we tried fish tacos for the first time about a month ago. Not quite that far. 3 weeks ago. And man, I tell you what, I never thought I would enjoy fish tacos, but they were really good, and I like them with the lime juice and with the cilantro, and so I've been going through a good bit of cilantro. So Tracy saw there was cilantro, and she said out loud to everybody, "My daddy loves that. I'm going to get some." So there we go. Here's Miss Leah with her greens. She was excited about it. I said, "Let me take your picture." And this was the pose she gave me. So there's our youngest, just turned 5 2 days ago. So y'all in the chat room there, give a shout out for a happy birthday, Leah. That's Leigha, and she'll be proud to spell that for you any day of the week.
In fact, funny story there, her first word was Leah.
Yep.
And absolutely loved it and giggled to death if you said it back at her.
Yep. So there she is. She's proud to be 5 as of the 27th. So there you go. There's our youngest. Or I say jokingly, her birthday is actually T-13, but that's just a joke. I love her to death. So here's Brandon. Him and I were working on fertilizing trees and other things, trees and shrubs, and then he went back around later and cut up cardboard to put on top of the fertilization and make sure that the weeds stayed down. So here he is cutting up some cardboard, and then here's a sample of some of the end result of him trying to help keep the weeds down. So that was Brandon's big thing, was helping me out, and then he did that part on his own. Here is Leah and Mommy and Jennifer. This birdhouse and pole was already pre-assembled, but it needed a place to go. So Jennifer helped Miss Gail, who runs the community garden, figure out a good place for it, and then Jennifer dug the hole with some minor assistance from Miss Leah, and then they put the pole in the hole, and
Leah and Brandon filled in most of it.
Okay.
While I held it straight.
There you go. So they're hoping that this bird box will attract some blue jays. No, blue birds.
Blue birds.
Because that's way too small of a hole for a blue jay.
Yeah.
This is going to be for blue birds. So they're trying to attract some blue birds into the area. While we were there, we also took a sneak peek at their bees. Now, this was the same day that I took that picture when I woke up and it was 27 degrees outside. Now, it wasn't anywhere near 27 degrees when we got to the garden. It was probably in the 40s.
And this hive is in full sun.
And the hive's in full sun. And the bees were active. So we took a quick little picture here to show the bees are active. And I tell you what, their hive is in about the same state of disrepair mine is. So I felt a little bit better knowing I wasn't the only one. All right, their hive body, the woodenware. Okay. And this is a picture of me and Brandon. Some of the other plants we were taking care of were blueberries. So all in this area, there are blueberry bushes scattered about, and we weeded around them, and then we put down manure, and then he cardboarded, and we laid the leaf mulch back on top of it. So there's Brandon and I at the end of our day. And that brings us back to the beginning. So that's the picture show for today, is us doing the community garden. So I look forward to being a part of this again. Being in the community garden is always a lot of fun. You meet fun people and different stories, learn new things, different tips and tricks on things other people have done. And sometimes not only do you walk away with the fruit or the vegetable, but sometimes you walk away with the cuttings as well. And so we can grow a little more at home as well. So we will see how that goes in the future.
There is an argument right now on Facebook about how avocados are flavorless, and you should be able to tell them how it is an acquired taste.
Well, folks, I did not like avocado growing up at all. Of course, there was a lot of different things I didn't like growing up. And Jennifer got me to try one day. Well, I think the first thing you did was make guacamole. Your guacamole.
My guacamole.
So there were other flavors involved with it, and I liked it.
To include your favorite salsa.
Right. So I liked it. There was nothing wrong with it. And then I just started using it more. And the more I used it, the more I got used to it. And so now, really, my favorite thing to do with an avocado now is split it in half, sprinkle it with a small amount of salt, and put a spoon in it. I just eat it right out like that. Now, I do like, I think it, to me still, it's important to have just a very small dusting of salt on it.
And it also has to be just the right ripeness, because there are avocados that are completely flavorless. I've complained about that before.
Yeah. So I believe they do have a flavor, and I don't know, I'll go with that. So now we did have, but every avocado is different too. Like what was the one we picked up to?
I don't know, but it was huge.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. I love avocados, and there was just something about this one.
They had a huge one at the store. I mean, it looked like it was trying to be a cantaloupe. I mean, it was just huge. But we got it just to try it and see what it would be like. And I would have said that had a whole lot less flavor than any other avocado I've ever had. The Haas avocados seem to have more flavor than the avocado we had today.
Yes, the avocado we had today was like a cannoli or something like that.
Something. It starts with a C, some kind of variety. It started with a C.
And it's more watery.
Yeah. But it had more flesh because they had a smaller pit. So, I mean, it's, give and take. Give and take. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. But Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener asked, this kind of relates to us being with the vegetable garden, whether or not we had found a new juicer. There is one I am interested in getting so that it can juice greens more efficiently, or juice anything more efficiently. It's really kind of frustrating to see how wet the pulp is that comes out of this Jack LaLanne juicer that we've had for years. Knowing we could get so much more out of it.
Let alone the fact that I shoved a kiwi in that thing and it threw it off kilter.
It did. Y'all don't ever put a kiwi in a Jack LaLanne power juicer, because it was like throwing a load of laundry off balance. Instead of it spinning equally and pulp going 360 directions, man, it just stuck to one side of that screen, and it sounded like the whole thing was going to come flying off the counter. But anyway, I mean, you put like a blueberry in there, and you can go look in the pulp area and see where there's blueberries that barely look like they were skinned. And Jennifer even saw that happen with a couple strawberries, where a whole lot of actual fruit material got through it. So we have identified one we would like to get, but they're expensive, and it's springtime, and there's so many other things we need to be putting our money towards, that while it would be nice to have a more efficient juicer, it really doesn't hit the top priority, because juicing is something we're doing in addition to. It's not necessary, and we already have a juicer, even though it's not the most efficient one. So
in a month or two, we're going to go ahead and purchase that juicer, just not right this minute.
Yeah. All right. So I have a couple videos I want to share with you folks. And if you're not really paying attention, if this is something you're just kind of listening to on the side, I need to let you know now, you're going to hear some weird sounds. I've got a video, excuse me.
It's bedtime.
One of my trail cameras is recording a noise that I can't identify. And I want to know what you guys think, because two things here. It only records this noise at night. And it doesn't record this noise all the time. So a part of me at one point thought, well, maybe this is just a mechanical failure. It's a noise that the camera itself is producing, which it could still be.
Bigfoot.
It might be Bigfoot. It could still be that, and it's just not happening all the time. But it's happening frequently enough. Here's the things I'm weighing. The sound sounds almost exactly the same every time. So that makes me think mechanical, not nature. But, many animal calls are very, very similar, and you would almost mistake them to be the exact same call every single time.
Snipe?
Snipe, bless your heart. Snipes are real. I'm just putting it out there. They do exist. But anyway, so I've got 3 different videos for you to listen to, but I have no clue how to control the volume. I know I can't hear it, but I've had people tell me before that they can hear it. So I'm going to play this, and after the first one, I'll check and make sure you guys actually heard something, because I'm going to shut up during the video while it's playing, because I don't want you to not be able to hear it over me talking.
What does the fox say?
Learn to sing, learn to sing. All right, here we go. So here, video number 1. Okay, did y'all catch that? I muted our video microphone so that I could hear it on Jennifer's, and it sounded like it came through okay. It sounds mechanical. It sounds like the camera. Okay. All right. I'm gonna play the second one. Y'all tell me if you still feel that way after the second one. Alright, so it looks like everybody's still saying it's mechanical. Since there doesn't appear to be any other feeling about that, I'm going to share the last video. But
Bob says tie it tighter to the tree or shim it.
Well, see, but listen now. It doesn't do that noise every single time. And there's, if I were to play every single video that camera recorded, you'll get a video with the noise, and a video without it, and a video without it, and a video with it. And the only thing that was consistent was that the ones that did make the noise were all at night. None of it during the day. So
were they on the same night?
No, different nights. Those two were on the same night.
Tommy said some kind of radio interference.
Well, I guess it's possible. So now here, see, that's the next thing that Dolphin Man mentioned about how the deer wasn't running away. This third video I'm going to share because it's got other critters. It's not just a deer. I think it's got a couple rabbits, and one of them might be a possum in there. So I'm going to show this last video. You can see the other critters, but also
some kind of nighttime bug.
Man, I don't know. It could be. It might be Bigfoot. The first person might have had it right from the beginning. So anyway, here's the third video. Check it out. It's the last sample I have.
Laying an egg on the...
It does sound like a chicken's laying the egg. I mean, it really does. But anyway, so there it is. There's the sound that I'm scratching my head about, and really it's just because of how inconsistent it is. Now this camera is the one that it, gosh, when did we first buy that?
It's the first one.
Yeah, it's got to be several years old. I can't even think of what it is, but this you know, the ones that we've shared with you guys before that are the super good, the Browning Strike Force Elite, that everybody have commented how good those look. This is the non-elite model that came out before they ever even had an elite. So it's like, what, 3 or 4 years old at this point.
Someone noticed when it makes the high-pitched sound, there's a slight interference with the image. It might be the focus motor.
Yeah, okay. That's a good observation. That's something I can go back and look at again.
But the animals can hear the sound, and they're
Yeah,
agreeing.
yeah. I noticed that the animals did seem to get their attention somehow with it. So,
Yeah.
but someone else says the critters do not hear it. But I mean, it seemed to me like it was getting their attention. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way, just something to share with you that we had seen. The only other thing to report about the deer field, we did go talk to the neighbor about the dog, but we neglected with it last week. Last week it was rain and muck and bleh, who wanted to go out of the house. But we did go this weekend, and we didn't get to speak to the lady that we know lives there. We spoke to her brother, who apparently has started living with her. And what we have learned is that the husky, they have a chain link fenced enclosure for their dogs, but this husky keeps jumping over the fence. And they have even gone so far as to try to put it on a lead inside of the fence, but then the lead gets all tangled up, and so then, that's just not a good thing.
And though the dogs are being cared for to most humane standards, they're not being cared for to my standards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. They're yard dogs is the way they're treating them, and I don't mean to say anything bad about the neighbor, but we went over there and said, hey, look, can you help us? And this is
and it was there in the yard.
Oh yeah, the dog was there, so I had the pictures, and I think a lot of times, folks, can we all agree that like Jennifer said, we're in our mid-30s, but something in generations younger than us have lost the ability to speak to people.
Yeah.
They don't. The communication is just not being communicated to them. How to communicate to other people. Rhetoric is not being taught to them. We went over to the neighbor, and first words out of my mouth, other than after hello, was, "Look, I'm not trying to cause any problems. I need to know if you guys can help me with this." And showed him the pictures and said, "Your dog's getting over to my deer field. Not tearing anything up, just running off my deer, and so I haven't been able to hunt any deer in the last month." And he agreed. He said, "Well, that's bad enough." And I said, "Was there anything you can do to help me keep your dog out of my yard?" And that's when he said, "Well, we try to keep her in this fenced area, but she jumps over the fence. We've tried chaining her up, but it just gets all tangled inside of the fence area because there's another dog in there with it and toys and whatever." And so they don't like using the lead because, of course, when a lead gets tangled, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And so they are apparently trying to get rid of the dogs. They don't want the dogs anymore, but we don't want their dogs either. So hopefully the situation get resolved. Now, unfortunately, there is a sad bit to report. Jennifer noticed that the dog was in some way injured.
He has a really bad limp on one leg, and you noticed on one of the videos that it was bleeding on the other side.
Yeah, so one video I had from the dog from this morning, it didn't seem to have any problem whatsoever. It was walking just fine. It was its front left leg when we visited their home that it didn't want to put weight on. And the dog was going through the deer field just fine. That wasn't a problem. But when it got real close to the camera, I noticed behind its right front leg there was red stains. So I don't know if it got into a fight. I don't know if it killed something and just got dirty there and couldn't lick it clean, or what the situation was, but it caught my attention because it was on the white patch of its fur.
But on the video this morning,
walking
it wasn't
around
limping.
perfectly fine. So we don't know what happened to the dog, but due to its limp, they are putting it back into the cage
and we don't
or into
expect
the
it to
fenced
jump
area, and hopefully it won't be able to jump it like Jennifer says. So we'll see. But we're working with the neighbors. He said that he would pass the message on to his sister, and hopefully they'll make a more concerted effort. And we'll monitor the deer cams. And if a cordial visit wasn't enough to get things fixed, then we'll make another one. And if we can't get it fixed that way, then we'll bring in a third party.
Suburban, I was thinking the same thing. It could have gotten hurt going over the fence, but with the fact that we have the video of the dog this morning, and the dog was not limping this morning. And then he told us when we went over there that they hadn't seen it
all morning
at all today. We know that it hadn't been in the pen at all. So,
Mama, have there been any other questions? Because we have got to sign out in just 1 minute.
no questions. Dolphin Man says I have a good heart, but that's about it.
Okay. All right, folks, I really appreciate you being a part of the show today. I hope you liked everything that we shared with you. Coming up next week, we do have a video about raspberries. Something interesting happened today, and shot a little quick impromptu video about raspberries. So make sure you check that out. And also the video about planting the strawberries, which varieties, how and why, all those good questions being answered for you in that video. And that will wrap up our strawberry bed planting series until another month or two when we try to put in a drip irrigation system for them. So thank you all so much for being a part of the show.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.